My sister ruined my wedding on purpose. She wore a white dress, interrupted the vows, and told my husband's family a disgusting lie about me during the reception. I hadn't spoken to her in 2 years before that day. I didn't even invite her, but she showed up anyway. And by the end of the night, my husband's mother was demanding an annulment before we even cut the cake. I was never close with my sister, Emma. We were only 2 years apart, but she made it her mission to humiliate me at every turn. In school, in front of boyfriends, at family events, didn't matter. If I had attention, she'd find a way to take it. If I was happy, she'd find a way to poison it. So 2 years ago, I cut contact. No dramatic fight. No screaming. Just silence. I blocked her number, removed her from socials, and told our parents I was done. She didn't reach out. Didn't apologize. Didn't ask why. So when I got engaged to Michael, the one person who made me feel truly safe, I didn't hesitate. Emma was not invited. Everyone knew it. Except her. The wedding was small. 70 people. Lakeside venue. We rented a gorgeous wooden hall and filled it with candles, white roses, and quiet music. I'd dreamed of that moment since I was a girl. My mom helped with my veil. My best friend held my bouquet. Michael looked perfect standing at the altar. Then the doors opened, and I saw her, Emma, in a floor-length white dress. At first, I thought maybe I was hallucinating from nerves. But she was real. She walked in slowly, like a guest who was supposed to be there, and sat in the second row, on Michael's side. I locked eyes with my mom, and she looked panicked. My maid of honor stood up like she might say something, but the officiant had already begun speaking. I kept going. I told myself she was just there to watch. She wouldn't dare do anything. But when Michael said his vows, she scoffed. Loud enough for people to turn. When I started mine, she whispered something to the woman beside her, Michael's aunt, who narrowed her eyes at me immediately after. Still, I finished. We kissed. Everyone clapped. The music played. And then it all fell apart. Because during the reception, while I was greeting guests, Emma pulled Michael's mother aside. I saw them talking. Then I saw her face. I knew that face. I walked over, smiling, pretending everything was fine. Michael's mother turned to me and said, "Did you really think you could hide something like that?" I blinked. Hide what? She stepped back, disgusted. "I don't want someone like you in our family." Then she turned and walked off. Michael came running. "What's going on?" But I couldn't even speak, because Emma had just looked me in the eye, smirked, and said, "Congratulations. Hope it lasts." And I knew, whatever she'd told them, it was only the beginning. I followed Michael's mom outside, desperate for answers. The moment I touched her arm, she snapped, "Don't you dare play innocent." Michael caught up, confused and panicked. "What is going on?" His mother pointed at me. "Ask your wife about the baby she abandoned." The words hit me like a freight train. "What?" I choked. She scoffed. "Emma told us everything. How you got pregnant in college and dumped the baby on some poor family so you wouldn't ruin your body. How you've kept it secret all these years." I was shaking. Michael turned to me. "That's not true, right?" "No," I said. "Of course not. That never happened." But I could see it. The seed was already planted. I grabbed Michael's hands. "She's lying. You know me. You know me." He stared at me, torn, jaw clenched. "She said she is proof," his mother added coldly. "Photos. Hospital records." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I hadn't spoken to Emma in 2 years. She didn't know anything about my life in college. There was no baby, no adoption, nothing even close. "She made it up," I said, louder now. "She came here to ruin this." But the damage had already started to spread. I saw Michael's aunt whispering to another guest. Eyes on me. Mouths moving. I felt the air change, the warmth of celebration turning into a chill of suspicion. Emma didn't need to prove anything. She just needed to plant out. Michael walked away to talk to his mom. I stood there alone on the patio in my wedding dress, trying not to cry. Guests avoided my eyes. Some went quiet. Others, curious, tried to make small talk as if they hadn't heard. My best friend rushed over. "She's not staying," she said. "I'll make sure of it." But Emma was one step ahead. She was already talking to the DJ. A few minutes later, the music changed, not soft and elegant like we'd planned, but loud, aggressive. Some bizarre remix of a breakup song I used to hate in high school. People started murmuring. And there she was, Emma on the dance floor alone, in her white dress, spinning like she owned the room. Michael returned to my side. "I don't believe her," he said softly. I looked at him. "But you're not sure?" He didn't answer. That silence said everything. He pulled the DJ aside and told him to cut the music. Then he asked Emma to leave. She just smiled and said, "Why?" I thought family was welcome. We didn't want a scene. So Michael asked security to escort her out quietly. She left without protest. But as she passed me, she leaned in and whispered, "That's strike one. 2 more and he's gone." Then she was gone. And I realized this wasn't a one-time stunt. This was a campaign. And I had no idea what came next. We didn't sleep that night. After the last guests left, the venue quiet, and the cleanup crew rolled in, Michael and I sat in the bridal suite, silent. Me in my dress, him still in his tux, both of us staring at the floor. "She's lying," I repeated, voice hoarse. "I never had a baby. I never even had a scare." Michael nodded, but slow. "Careful." "I believe you," he said. But not all the way. Not the way I needed him to. That's how these things work. Lies don't need evidence, just doubt. And Emma was a master at planting it. Back at the hotel, I went through every old box of photos and documents I had with me, ready to prove my innocence to the man who had just vowed to spend his life with me. It was humiliating. Meanwhile, Michael was texting his mom, his aunt, trying to do damage control. Why would she do this? He kept asking. I didn't answer, because the truth was simple. Emma hated me. Always had. Growing up, she twisted everything. If I got a gift, she'd claim I stole it. If a boy liked me, she'd tell him I was easy. She once told my 5th grade teacher I'd cheated on a math test. I got suspended. Years later, she confessed she did it because I got a better birthday party. She didn't want things. She wanted destruction. And now that I was happy, now that I had something permanent, a husband, a future, a new last name, she couldn't stand it. The next morning, we drove home in silence. Michael held my hand in the car, but his thumb wasn't moving the way it used to. No comforting squeeze, no small circles. I could feel the shift. And when we got home, it got worse. His mother had already sent an email. Subject line, "We need to talk about the truth." Attached were blurry photos of me in college. At a party. Sitting on some guy's lap. Totally innocent. Normal student life. But paired with a lie, they looked different. She included a screenshot of a message from Emma. Ask her about the clinic visit in April 2015. I froze. I did go to a clinic that month for food poisoning. I threw up for 2 days straight and thought I had salmonella. But Emma didn't know that. She didn't need to. Michael stared at the screen. Why would she know about that? I have no idea. He said nothing for a long time, then got up and went into the other room. And that's when I realized. Emma was winning. Not because she had proof, but because she had access to my past, to my in-laws, to him. She didn't crash my wedding to cause a scene. She crashed it to plant a seed. And now I was watching it grow, in the man I just married. The next few days were a blur. Michael wasn't cold, but he wasn't present. He answered questions with nods. Avoided eye contact. Slept on the edge of the bed. And every time his phone buzzed, I tensed. Because I knew it was her. Emma. I finally asked, "Are you talking to her?" He hesitated. Then nodded. "She just wants to clear things up," he said. "She says she doesn't want to come between us." I laughed, sharp and hollow. She showed up to our wedding in white. Lied to your mom. Turned half the guests against me. But she doesn't want to come between us. He didn't respond. I felt like I was screaming underwater. Everything muffled. Every move I made, she was already 5 steps ahead. That night, I went into our office and opened an old drawer. Inside was a folder I hadn't touched in years, printouts, screenshots, everything I'd saved from my final months dealing with Emma. It was worse than I remembered. One message from her to my college boyfriend read, "She cheated on you. I saw it. Ask her about the party at Lakeview." Another, "She's unstable. Everyone knows it. She just hides it well. She'd done this before. Ruined friendships. Sabotaged relationships. Made herself the quiet, concerned sister who just wanted the truth to come out." It wasn't even rage anymore. It was obsession. I printed it all again, made a binder, brought it to Michael and said, "If you're going to talk to her, fine, but read this first." He flipped through it, slowly, and then he asked a question I didn't expect. "Why didn't you ever tell me she was like this?" I blinked, because I thought I'd finally escaped her. He nodded, said nothing else that night. The next morning, I woke up alone. His phone was gone. So were his shoes. I waited 10 minutes, then 30, then an hour. I called. No answer. Then finally, a text. "I'm at my mom's. I need to think." I sat on the floor and stared at the screen until the battery died. Emma had done it. She'd taken my wedding day, my in-laws. Now she had him. I opened my laptop, went to her social media. It was private, but her bio had changed. 3 little words. "Truth always wins." I slammed the lid shut. Then I opened my binder. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to cry into my pillow. I was going to do the one thing Emma didn't expect. I was going to fight back, because I finally understood something. She didn't just want to ruin my wedding. She wanted to erase my life. And I wasn't going to let her. I gave Michael 3 days. 3 days to sit in his childhood bedroom and listen to his mother and my sister poison the air between us. 3 days to look at the binder I gave him and decide who he believed. On the 4th day, I got a text. "Can we talk?" He came home that evening. Quiet. Careful. He sat down across from me at the kitchen table like I was a stranger he didn't want to spook. "I've read everything," he said. "And I believe you." I exhaled slowly, like I'd been holding my breath for weeks. But, he added, "I also talked to Emma." I stiffened. "She says she wants to apologize." I laughed again, bitter this time. "Let me guess. In person?" He nodded. "Absolutely not," I said. He held up a hand. "Just listen. She says she'll admit she lied. That she regrets it. She wants to come clean to my family, undo the damage." I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. "She wants you to believe she's going to admit, publicly, that she made up a fake pregnancy, a fake adoption, lied at our wedding, and slandered me in front of your mother? That's what she said. And you think she means it?" I want to believe she does. There it was. Not certainty. Hope. Michael was still clinging to the idea that people like Emma could feel guilt. Could change. He didn't understand what I already knew. Emma didn't apologize. Emma performed. But I agreed anyway. I needed to see her face. We met at a small cafe, neutral ground. Public. Cameras. Witnesses. Emma walked in like nothing had ever happened. White blouse, soft makeup, crocodile smile. She hugged Michael first, then looked at me. "I just want peace," she said. I didn't speak. She sat down and launched into it. A whole performance. "I didn't realize how much damage I'd done," she said. "I was hurting. I was projecting. I thought I was protecting Michael, but I crossed a line." Michael nodded like he was watching someone confess in a movie. Then I asked, "What exactly are you apologizing for?" She blinked. For showing up uninvited. For saying things that weren't mine to say. I leaned forward. "Emma, did you lie?" Silence. I misunderstood. "That's not what I asked." She glanced at Michael, then looked back at me. I exaggerated. I shouldn't have. I looked her dead in the eyes. "Say it. Say you made it up." She didn't. She wouldn't. Instead, she smiled and said, "I'm trying to move forward." I stood up. "This conversation is over." Michael looked torn. "Wait. No, I said. You wanted honesty? There it is. She's not sorry. She's strategic. She didn't come to clear the air. She came to control the narrative. Emma's smile never broke. As I walked away, she said just loud enough for me to hear. Better hold on to him tight. Because when he finally sees what you really are, I'll be waiting. And in that moment, I realized she wasn't done. Not even close. We drove home in silence. Michael kept glancing at me like he wanted to speak, but I stared out the window the whole way. My hands were folded. My jaw locked. He finally said, I thought it was a step in the right direction. She never admitted anything, I said flatly. I know. But nothing, I snapped. She hijacked our wedding, smeared my name, manipulated your mother, and you're still giving her chances. I thought if we gave her space to confess, maybe she'd. She's not going to confess. Because none of this is about truth for her. It's about winning. She doesn't want forgiveness. She wants control. And you walked her right into our lives again. I regretted raising my voice. But not the words. Because deep down, I knew Michael still hadn't made his choice. Not really. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept going over everything: the wedding, the lies, the cafe. Her smile. The smirk she gave me when Michael wasn't looking. The way she never actually apologized. She didn't need to. She knew what she was doing. The next morning, something snapped inside me. I was done playing defense. I pulled out my laptop and started going through every file I'd ever saved. Messages, screenshots, email threads, social media posts, audio clips. My old phone still had voice memos from Emma, ones I forgot I'd recorded during our last real fight before I cut her off. In one, she said, "You think your little success makes you better than me? You're nothing. You always needed people to like you, and that's why I'll always have the upper hand, because I don't care who I burn." I clipped it, backed it up, saved it to 3 folders. Then I started documenting the timeline. Not for revenge. For protection. Because Emma wasn't just a toxic sister anymore. She was a threat to my marriage, my reputation, and my safety. By afternoon, I had a full report ready. And I handed it to Michael. He sat on the couch, flipping through the pages in silence. His face went pale. When he got to the audio transcript, he stopped reading. She really said that? Yes. He swallowed. I thought she was just jealous. But this is something else. She's obsessed, I said. And she's not going to stop until she tears us apart. He looked up at me, eyes full of guilt. What do we do? I didn't hesitate. We cut her off. You, me, your mom. No more texts. No more meetings. No more giving her the stage. And if she pushes back, then we bury her with her own words. He nodded. Slowly. Finally. That night, for the first time since the wedding, Michael held me fully. No distance. No hesitation. But just as I began to feel safe again, a letter arrived. No name on the envelope. Just one line inside. A printed sentence cut from a magazine. He deserves the truth. And I'm going to make sure he gets it. No signature. Just the scent of her perfume on the paper. The letter was hand-delivered. No stamp. No postmark. Just slipped into our mailbox sometime between 10 p.m. and dawn. And the perfume? It was hers. The same one she'd worn since college. Something sharp and sweet that used to make people compliment her in elevators. Now it made my skin crawl. Michael stood behind me, reading the line over my shoulder. He deserves the truth. And I'm going to make sure he gets it. He didn't say a word. He didn't have to. This wasn't subtle. It wasn't a bluff. It was a threat. Emma wasn't giving up. She was just changing tactics. I contacted a friend, a cyber investigator who worked freelance for small law firms. I told him everything. Within a day, he started digging. Meanwhile, we went full lockdown. Changed our numbers. Closed social media. I even reached out to Michael's mom and laid it all out calmly, directly, with no emotion. She's not protecting you, I told her. She's using you. His mom didn't argue. She just nodded and said, I feel like a fool. That made 2 of us. 3 days later, my investigator called. "I found something," he said. "And you're not gonna like it." Emma had been digging into my medical history, not recent old. She'd contacted a private clinic I'd visited for a stress-related fainting spell in college. She posed as me, used my maiden name, claimed she'd lost access to her own records and needed verification for a personal project. They gave her a copy of my patient summary from 8 years ago. She scanned it, highlighted one line, "Routine blood panel, negative for pregnancy." And then she edited it, changed one word, "positive." My investigator found the altered file in her cloud storage. She'd uploaded it under a fake Gmail account, probably preparing to send it to Michael, or worse, post it online. She was building a fake medical trail, falsifying documents, committing identity fraud. I was shaking. "This is criminal," I said. My investigator agreed. "We've got enough to take it to the police. You want me to prep a report?" I hesitated, because part of me, even after all of this, still couldn't believe it. She was my sister. But then I remembered the wedding, the whisper in the crowd, the smile when she said, "That's strike one." She'd warned me, and I didn't listen. I looked at Michael. "She's done," I said. "Let's end this." We filed the report the next morning. Name, dates, digital evidence, IP addresses. The fake file, the forged record, the audio confession from years ago, the letter. Every piece went into the file. And just as we submitted it, my phone buzzed again. A blocked number. One voicemail. Emma's voice, calm, cold, quiet. "You think involving police will stop me? I dare you." I replayed that voicemail 5 times. Each time, I tried to find a crack, a tremble, a hesitation, any sign that Emma was bluffing. But there was none. She meant it. I sent the recording to the investigator and our lawyer. They both said the same thing. She was escalating fast, and it was time to involve law enforcement directly. By the next afternoon, we were sitting across from a detective at the local precinct. I laid out everything, the forged documents, the wedding incident, the harassment, the impersonation, the threats. He listened carefully, took notes. Then he said something that stopped me cold. "She's done this before, hasn't she?" I nodded. He looked up. "You know we can charge her, right? Identity fraud, document forgery, harassment. This isn't just some family spat. She's crossed a legal line." That's when I realized something. Emma didn't think consequences applied to her. Not then. Not now. She'd spent her entire life getting away with it. Small lies, manipulation, social sabotage, because no one ever stopped her. Until now. We filed the report formally. Signed statements. Attached everything. It was out of our hands. Back at home, I expected to feel relieved. I didn't. I felt exposed. Because the quiet was worse than the chaos. And Emma? She thrived in silence. Sure enough, 2 nights later, Michael's mother called in a panic. "Emma came to my house," she said. She wasn't yelling. She was calm. Too calm. "She said you forged her name. That you broke into her records. She says you're trying to ruin her life." She paused. "I don't believe her anymore. I just wanted you to know she's not backing down." That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I pictured Emma standing outside, watching our house, waiting for her moment. Michael did his best to reassure me. "We've done everything right," he said. "We have the evidence. The police are on it." But evidence doesn't stop obsession. 3 days later, I found another envelope on our porch. Inside was a photo. Me. Taken from behind. At the grocery store. No note. No signature. No message. Just a timestamp. From that morning. She was close. I turned on every security alarm. Checked every lock. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about control. Emma didn't want to destroy me for something I did. She wanted to destroy me because I had something she didn't. A stable life. A husband who loved me. And a version of the future that didn't include her. And she couldn't stand it. But here's what she didn't realize. I wasn't scared of her anymore. I was ready. Because the next time she stepped out of the shadows, she wouldn't just be my sister. She'd be a criminal. They arrested her at her apartment. Emma didn't resist. She didn't scream or cry. According to the officer who called me afterward, she smiled the entire time they read her the charges. Identity theft, forgery, harassment, stalking. It wasn't dramatic. No flashing lights or news cameras. Just two plainclothes detectives and a quiet walk to the car. But it felt like something shifted in the universe. Like gravity finally pulled in the right direction. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the phone after the call. Michael came in and asked what happened. "She's in custody," I said. He sat beside me, didn't say anything, just held my hand. I wanted to feel victorious, or safe, or even just done. But I didn't, because she'd taken too much. Our wedding, our first months of marriage, my peace, my name. She hadn't just tried to ruin my life, she'd tried to rewrite it. The trial didn't take long to set. Our case was solid, the paper trail undeniable. Her lawyer tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the DA wouldn't back down. Not after seeing the forged clinic records and that final photo, the one from the grocery store, time-stamped and clear. We didn't go public. We didn't need headlines. I just wanted distance. The courtroom was cold. Small. No jury, just a judge. Emma sat there in a beige blazer, pretending to be composed. But when the prosecution started reading the timeline, the fake documents, the faked pregnancy, the impersonation, her mask started to crack. Her foot tapped. Her fingers twitched. She refused to look at me. When they played the voicemail, her voice sang, "You think involving police will stop me? I dare you." She finally looked up. And I looked right back. Not angry, not afraid, just finished. She took a deal. 18 months of supervised probation, mandatory psychological evaluation, no contact with me or Michael or anyone in his family. No jail time, I didn't push for it. I just wanted her gone. Afterward, Michael and I went straight home. He made tea. I sat on the floor. It was the first moment I'd felt like myself in months. And then I saw it. The wedding dress. Still in the dry cleaning bag. Hanging in the back corner of the closet. Untouched. Unworn since that day. I pulled it out. Looked at the beading. The delicate lace. And I realized something I hadn't dared say out loud until now. She didn't ruin my wedding. She tried. But she didn't ruin me. And after everything she did, everything she was, I still had the one thing she would never have. A life not built on lies. 6 months later, our life feels almost normal again. Michael and I took a short trip to Maine. Just the two of us. No schedule, no phones. We sat by the ocean. Cooked simple meals. Slept without fear. And for the first time since the wedding, we laughed without something behind it. When we came home, the first thing I did was take the wedding dress to a tailor. I didn't want it locked in the closet anymore, collecting dust and bad memories. I had it shortened, rehemmed, transformed into something new, a soft white cocktail dress I could wear on our anniversary. Because it didn't belong to her. It never did. Emma never contacted us again. Probation kept her away, and the threat of jail made sure she didn't test the boundaries. But even without the law, I knew she wouldn't come back. Because for the first time in her life, someone told her no, and it stuck. Michael and I renewed our vows. Just us, his mom, and a few close friends. No drama. No speeches. No surprises. When I said I do this time, it wasn't through gritted teeth or a fake smile. It was peace. Real peace. I've stayed in therapy. I still wake up sometimes thinking I hear a knock on the door. I still hesitate when an unknown number calls. But those moments are further apart now. And every time I feel her shadow behind me, I remember something my therapist said. She only had power because you kept trying to play fair with someone who never played by rules. Now, there are rules, boundaries, and a version of me that Emma never expected to meet, the version who fought back and won. I've started writing again. Not about her, about healing. About what it means to choose your own story when someone tries to rewrite it for you. Some people ask if I'll ever forgive her. My answer? I don't need to. Forgiveness isn't a pass. It's a release. And I've already let go, not for her, but for me. Because this isn't her story anymore. It's mine. And I won't waste one more sentence on someone who only shows up to ruin the ending. So now I'll leave you with the same question I had to answer for myself. If someone you loved spent years trying to destroy your life from the inside out, would you ever let them back in?